What's up, Transformers fans? Mondo the Dadbotimus Prime here himself with week 39 of Moonbase 84's year-long celebration of 40 years of Grimlock and the Dinobots. If you've been watching the celebration videos or the channel in general, then you might have heard me say how I'd really like Hasbro to come out with a new Dinobot subline like we got on a few occasions back in the day. So for this week's video, I thought it'd be fun to come up with a subline, but also to give it a little backstory. So my idea for the subline would be a Dinobot Special Forces team. Of course, the traditional Dinobots are Special Forces already, but I'm rolling with the idea anyway. Before we get into it though, I wanted to mention that my vision for the characters that we'll be talking about would be redesigned to fit with the traditional Dinobot team's look. My thinking is that they'd be reimagined in the War for Cybertron style of Dinobots. So with those parameters in place, here we go. Every Spec Ops team needs recon, and I have two characters in mind that would fill the recon role nicely. First, we have Slash. Being a raptor, her smaller stature would allow her to get into places unnoticed that wouldn't be as easy for the bigger dinos. Velociraptor means speedy thief, and she'd use that speed to get in, move around, and get out quickly. She'd be perfect for spying, retrieval, and any other mission where stealth is required. To complement Slash, we have Dilophoton, but that's a terrible name, as I discussed in last week's episode. Someone in the comments of that video suggested the name Frill, and that is a much better name for sure. For her role on this team though, I'm going to use an old name given to a Saberback repaint and go with Striker. Striker's role would be much like Slash's for the team. She stands out though because she's the Eliminator, often using nefarious tactics. She gets in and disposes of her targets with her poison spit attacks. And yes, I'm totally aware that frills and poison spit aren't accurate to a Dilophosaurus, but we're talking about made-up robots here. In last week's Terrible Names video, the same commenter that came up with Frill for Dilophoton also came up with Gouge for Tricerodon. I really dig that name for a Dinobot, so our munitions expert is going to be named Gouge. But instead of a Triceratops, let's go with a Styracosaurus to mix it up a bit. And as you can see, I'm using the Power Core Combiner's Grimstone as a placeholder because he's a Styracosaurus. Quite simply, Gouge charges the enemy head on and blows things up. He's got a temper, so let's just say he's got an explosive personality. And no, I'm not apologizing for that pun. I'm not called the Dadbotimus Prime for nothing. Man down! We need a medic! Much like how he's depicted in the IDW comics, Scar is the team medic. His Ankylosaurus mode gives him the armor to withstand battlefield conditions so he can get to teammates that need help or extract them. Plus, we really need a proper Scar figure, like at least a Voyager class. Pick a color, and a Seeker has that paint job, so we need air support. To help in the sky, we're adding Air Raptor and Skydive to the team. But I think that I'd change Skydive's name to Strafe. These guys function as hit and run units on ground targets while also keeping the skies enemy free for their teammates. They're also not adverse to post up on the high ground to fill the sniper role. A team needs a leader, and who better than Scorn? Earning Grimlock's respect, Scorn has been given this group of Dinobots to command. It's about time that we saw more of Scorn for sure. The debate is still out if a Spinosaurus actually stood like Scorn or if it was a belly crawler. But for our team, this dude is no belly crawler. So, that's my idea for a Dinobot subline / Special Forces unit. What do you guys all think? Comment to let me know, or to add a character you'd like to see be on the team. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this week's Grimlock and the Dinobots celebration episode, and as always, thanks for docking.